Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our latest edition of One Week at a Time. My name is April Hutchinson and I work at TTG, so it's great to be here with you. Kicking off this week's programme of virtual events from TTG, designed to discuss all sorts of challenges that are facing the industry and help us steer through these challenging times. Every day this week, the team will be putting out some content to keep everybody in the loop and connected. And as I said, first up is One Week at a Time with lovely Claire Moore, who is Managing Director of Peaks Travel Elite in Shrewsbury and the UK and Ireland's #1 agency in our 2019 TTG Top 50. So hello, Claire. Thank you for coming and being on with us again.
Hello, hi.
Just let's have a little general recap of what's been happening today for a start. Boris Johnson has gone back to work with a solidarity message which he gave us this morning from outside Number 10. But we still don't have a clear indication, obviously, of when the lockdown is going to end. So we might be here for a little bit longer. Can you tell us, some of the positives that you've been managing to find during these unusual coronavirus times?
If I'm really honest, I've not had a massive amount of time for soul searching. You know, we're trying to keep it all going. But I think the big thing for me is us living a more simple life. We don't need all the stuff. We don't need the pace that we've kind of all become accustomed to. And I also think that whilst there are definitely some people that have let themselves down, generally people are kind and they want to look after people. And that's a lovely trait, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good thing that we're hopefully will stay with us, of course.
Yeah.
And talking about the business now and things that might be happening in industry or specifically with the agency, was there anything in particular that hit you Workwise last week? I know we were talking sort of last week about changes in cruising, and Cunard had to cancel all of its QM2 and Queen Victoria sailing, sadly, up to 31st July. Did that have an impact on you?
Yeah, it did. Just again, as I felt, this week I've got it covered. Then P&O and Cunard had to make the decision that they made, and I think we had about 10 bookings affected. So not a huge amount, but of course we don't have a huge resource of staff either. So actually trying to turn those into a rebook. There were some benefits, I think, from a consumer perspective with the 125% future cruise credit. Yeah, that went down well and helped us to stop some cancellations. Yeah, I think that the advice that had gone direct to customers wasn't completely clear on the first email we had, because the advice to customers did actually give them advice about a refund. That didn't come through to us straight away, so that was a little bit of a challenge. But yeah,
tricky, isn't it, when we hear people giving agents one message and perhaps the direct message going a little bit differently, should we say? But it's kind of like that sometimes in real life, isn't it, as well? And But have you found, generally speaking, that cruise has been a little bit more consistent, if you like, in terms of policies and trying to deal with things than perhaps tour operators have?
Yeah, I think generally there's been a really good level of consistency. We work quite closely with Celebrity, and I think they've been all over it. Anything that we've needed, they're there. They have, they've had to furlough staff as well, but they're managing it really well. So, and that support's massively appreciated. Anything to make life just a little bit easier goes a long way.
Yeah, great. Okay. And do you find that you do a lot of cruise, I'm sure? Are you finding it might be a bit of a tougher sell in terms of thinking about those health requirements that have had to be put in place perhaps now for, elderly passengers or, pre-existing conditions, things like that?
Yeah, I think if there are people that are already nervous, because there's definitely that contingent, isn't there? I think that's going to be a challenge. But also remember all of those passengers who love a cruise. I think once that, if they've got that genuine love for a cruise, I think that whatever the obstacle is, that somehow we'll overcome it.
Yeah, Yeah, sure. But turning to the tour operator side of things, which ones have you been finding to be really cooperative? We gave a shout out to a couple last week, and why? Why do you think, the ones you have worked with, why has it worked well?
I think genuinely the operators that are the shining lights for us are the operators that are making sure that our relationship is continuing.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I haven't got time to spend all day catching up with operators, but I don't mean that at all. But there is a big difference actually when there is a request for help as to how seriously and how quickly that's able to be dealt with. Because it is really complicated, isn't it? I think in some cases when there are refunds that actually aren't coming through to tour operators from their suppliers, particular accommodation providers, particular airlines, I think we as a company are really keen to have that conversation with our customers to see if it's possible for them to put through an insurance claim for that. We want to work with those operators that are actually supporting us. So we had a brilliant resolution on a nice booking last week with Luso. So for me, again, another A2 operator, which is great for me to see. But yeah, a really great resolution, and just about actually sitting and having a chat and working through those options.
Yeah, okay. So if you had a checklist, shall we say, of how you would like operators to help, to deal with, to be there for agents, what's on that checklist?
Clear lines of communication. I appreciate that loads of us are furloughed, but we do sometimes need to speak to somebody, or we need to be able to send an email for somebody to call us.
Yeah, so clear who to get hold of and when and how.
Yeah, and how we can get hold of them. I think it's really helpful if there's up-to-date information on tour operators' website. Of course, we're a little bit inundated with updates. So actually, we've just taken the decision now within our tiny team as we are now, that we check on a website before we get involved in any customer communication, because we can't stay on top of it. Each operator has a different policy, understandably, but actually it's that consistency and keeping us up to date but in the right way is great.
Yeah, because it's tricky, isn't it? If you've got emails coming in left, right and centre, and then your booking needs to be worked on, and you think, well, what was the last policy on that? So you need a good way of being able to get hold of all that kind of fast changing information.
Absolutely.
So,
I think Jet2 have done brilliantly with that. The size of the company, of course they're not going to be able to be on the end of the telephone, but actually anything we need is available, and that we just need the tools to be able to
sort of ask for. Yeah. And we've heard also that some operators seem very keen to get agents to do those rebookings instead of the refund processing, although that obviously has its own other set of issues. And incentives such as enhanced commission to get you to rebook, is that the way to go?
I'm not convinced, honestly. And I'm sure there's lots of people that will disagree with me, and I'll take that on the chin. For me, let's turn this around the other way. Am I offering customers discounts at the moment? No, of course I'm not. It's all about service. We want to be looking after them to the best ability. And rather than offer a customer a discount, I would prefer to use that money to get a member of staff off furlough and actually improve our service levels. So I'm not sure I agree with it, but each to their own.
Yeah, true. I'm sure for some people it'll be great, let's get it in the bank, but it all comes down to, you want the good service really before anything else, don't you, rather than financial incentives. I mean, for you personally and your guys. And how far do you think agents should or could be going if they are unhappy with the way operators are acting? I mean, we are trying to be unified in one travel industry, but where you really have reached the end of a tether with somebody, we're now hearing things like ABTA obviously putting companies through code of conduct and possibly terminating membership if they're not doing as far as they can to the guidelines. What do you think about that?
I think it's a two-way street, honestly. I'm sure there are some agents who are making the decisions that are necessary to keep their business going, which, you know, do we see it as unethical? Is it survival? I don't know. I mean, I'm certainly not judging anybody that isn't maybe behaving in the way that we should. But yeah, ABTA have to uphold all of that, don't they? That's what they're there for. So, but from both sides.
Yeah, agents and operators who aren't, you know, the regulations are there for a reason, aren't they? To help protect everybody operate in the same way and protect. Now, if we can move on to probably thinking about clients and bookings, some of the things you're still having to sort out. I heard you still have a client in Thailand after all this time. How you've had to help him?
Well, so this is an elderly gentleman. He's been there for a long time, not due to come back till May, but of course BA have cancelled flights. So trying to be in touch with him is a challenge. He hasn't got an email address, so I've had to help him set up an email account. And
this was over the phone. You've been dealing with him on the phone while trying to do...
9 times he rang me the other day in 30 minutes. And I said, you really need to stop calling me. I can't afford it for you. And it must be so expensive for him as well. So I send him an email and then he calls me. So we're getting there. Education, I suppose.
Yes, good. Well, he's learned something out of all this, isn't he? How to set up an email account, and he's still having his nice holiday in Thailand, which is great. And many bookings coming onto the books now, with balances due for summer, which is weeks away, really, isn't it? How are you finding all that? What's generally happening when it comes to summer bookings for you?
Well, honestly, I have been feeling quite depressed about all that until I felt there was a definite change Friday and also into Saturday. So just on Saturday I had 3 lovely resolutions as far as whether it's a customer accepting a refund credit note, whether it's an operator agreeing a refund, a combination of all of that. So 3 brilliant resolutions, 3 rebooks, and a lovely new inquiry. Yay! I know.
But overall, and it's fantastic, as we keep saying, it's kind of one booking at a time, really, isn't it? But
yeah, it is definitely.
Are you sort of feeling there's, you know, a huge volume of summer bookings that you're really going to have to deal with, or are you literally taking them? Yeah,
I'm literally working ahead 1 week at a time with those balances. So I'm in touch with passengers about 10 days before their balance is due to try and say, okay, you know, this is coming up, you'll know it's coming up. Try and gauge their thoughts and then see what actions I can take for them to help put, you know, A, give them something to look forward to, B, keep me in business.
Yes, and, of course.
You know, that's the whole thing about working together with operators, isn't it? We all want the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And as does the client. The client wants a nice holiday or a resolution of some kind. Are you finding it's hard to move bookings quite far on with product not being available, perhaps on the system yet, not loaded?
Yeah, have been. But again, towards the end of last week, maybe it was just the particular things I was dealing with. I was able to much more easily deal with those rebooks. So that's good. Great.
Yeah, that's good. And of those clients that you are moving, are you seeing price differences? We're seeing sometimes there's not much. It's, you know, a couple of pounds. Other times it's several £100s. And what's the client's reaction to that?
Well, and a real variation. So literally last week, something that doubled in price. Yeah.
Tough to negotiate, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, where are you going with that? That obviously that ended up being a cancellation. Something else that was not a huge booking, so it would have increased by 30%. So quite a big jump, really, for next year. Those passengers sucked it up, and took it on. And the closest I've got to a price was £2.50. So yeah, I mean, done. No rhyme, no reason.
Yeah.
A variation of everything, but I'm sure that school holidays, because of all of those families, or not just families, people that can only travel within the school holidays, that demands of missed opportunity this year has got to come through next year,
Yeah.
hasn't it? So
Yeah.
I'm sure those prices will hold.
Yeah, unless we see that there's such a demand that prices go upwards because there's literally so
Well,
much
that's the
demand and not
thing. That's what I
supply.
mean. They're
Yeah.
not going to go down. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying
Oh,
to say to
yes.
customers,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. They're
That
not
I
going to
know,
get the discounts. Not at those peak times, as you said, school
not
holidays, things like that.
exactly.
Yeah. And when it comes to those sort of travel habits, do you, to get a bit philosophical, do you feel that people's habits are going to change, or do you feel they are changing already? Or I know you've had a couple of inquiries, but or do you think we'll just go back to travelling the way we used to?
I don't know. I think it might take us a while to get back to travelling how we used to. We took it all, and so many things about life for granted, didn't we? The freedom that we had. But how many of us pop, I know not the correct comparison because we're working in travel, but even outside of that, most of us would pop away for a weekend with the girls or with the guys and maybe have a big holiday and another little trip, maybe something with extended family as well. But I guess that comes down to the economy, doesn't it? And the job security to see, can we fund our addiction?
Some of those habits may have to go sort of by the wayside a little bit, and people perhaps pick and choose a little bit more about the definite trips they really have to do from those perspectives.
From a sustainability perspective as well, even.
Exactly. Do you feel, I know a lot of your clients are, I mean, great for you, fairly affluent, you're in a kind of nice part of the world. Do you feel the luxury customers are a bit more resilient or are they still worried about their business as much as anyone and don't want to commit financially?
I think they are as nervous in some respects, but then there are different ways of using it. Some passengers who weren't necessarily thrilled that cruise was cancelled, but actually they've got a plus 25% and she's dreaming about the upgrades that she's going to take with it. So and that's the other thing, isn't it? If we're able to travel less, do we add a bit more style where we can? Do we get a room upgrade? Do we all those little nuances? Maybe that's an upsell opportunity for agents.
Make more of the trips you've got within them in terms of upselling those elements. And moving on to your business now, particularly to peaks, to anyone in travel who's had to think about how their business is going to look for the future. You'd already started quite a big plan for the business, hadn't you? And which has obviously had to now go on hold. What were you planning to do post Corona, and have you just literally had to pause that for now? Pre-Corona, and have you had to now sort of put all that on pause in terms of business?
Like life in so many respects is on pause. We had huge plans this year. It was the year that we were easing Francis into retirement. So that was the full responsibility of the business being with me. Thank goodness she's still here with me, because just being able to share that load makes a huge difference, really. I know it's a challenge for everybody, but I think being responsible for a business is can be quite a lonely place. So being able to share within a business community or with colleagues is great, but actually having literally somebody who shares 50% of the business with you is
really helpful,
comforting.
Comforting. Just bounce off those ideas.
But we were we were expanding, so we had additional staff. And post Corona, nobody knows what that looks like. I'm really keen to get back there. How long it'll take, none of us know. But that is really my focus now. I think some of the cost saves and things that I've been working on, I've probably done as much of that as I can. So really now for me, it's about retaining and creating as much business as possible and taking forward the newfound positivity that arrived with me at the weekend.
Yay. And one other thing we've been hearing quite a lot about is the area of financial protection. This has thrown up quite a lot of gaps and holes, should we say, in how things are done of different parts of the industry. What I think probably it was part of your plan, your whole business growth, the new peaks kind of plan. What do you think about trust accounts, or how do you think things are going to look different for agents in terms of that whole protection, financial protection, trust piece?
Well, we were very much about to implement not an official trust, but actually we have set up another account to be used in exactly that way. Because I'm really keen that we are actually not using customer money.
Yeah.
But it's a really difficult thing to get off the ground, I think, until you've built up reserves to be able to do that. This whole rob Peter to pay Paul, it's not a position anybody wants to be in, but you've got to gradually build up those reserves to be able to do it. And I appreciate the security around a trust account, and I get all that. But it's the additional finance that would involve that I think would be a real struggle for particularly some small agents, but not just small agents, because I guess it would be a percentage on turnover, so it's another cost to bear.
Whereas your strategy is to keep customer monies ring fenced. It's not operating cash flow, and it's just safe and over there somewhere else, so when it's needed it can be sent back to the client or forward to the supplier, etc. Well, hopefully that will be something you will be able to push on with once you're out of the woods, or once we're all out of the woods. Just to wrap up, anything else that's on your radar this week, or you think agents might be thinking about struggling with championing doing this week?
Well, the only thing I was going to mention was maybe chatting to your merchant acquirer for the chargeback situation, which of course everybody's pretty terrified about. I spoke to my guys this morning, and the whole issue is really about making sure that we know about it as soon as we can, because of course generally they send you a letter, but of course A, we're not in the office, B, there's a delay on the post. There's every chance you'll not know about that chargeback to be able to contest it until it's gone through. So I asked them to add like an email version into it, and I can't quite believe it, but they haven't got that facility. Weird, I know. So that's
dark age stuff there, isn't it? Carrier pigeon delivering the chargeback note.
So what I will have to do now is just put a quick call in each week to the chargeback team.
Right, to see what's
I know it's another thing to do, but actually might it does reassure me a little bit.
Okay, it's good to know. Well, that's it for our little 20-minute Monday chat. So thanks again so much, Claire, for being on, and it's great to hear lots of positivity coming out from the bedroom there. And just quickly recap on a few of the things that we will be putting out here this week from TTG. Tomorrow's Agent Matters is at 11 o'clock, and our Abra Dunsby will be talking to a panel including Kiri Delay from Mid-Counties Personal Travel Agents, Kate Holroyd from Strawberry Holidays, and James Beagrie from Meon Valley, and they'll be talking specifically about marketing for agents, what agents can and perhaps should be doing or are doing during this time to keep the messages out there. Wednesday, there's more training on Australia with Maddie, looking at Northern Territory and South Australia. And Wednesday and Thursday is our virtual Luxpo meeting events taking place. Friday, more from Business Support Live, talking about whatever the most pressing industry issues are. And of course, if you want to find out any more about our events or post a question in our coronavirus business support forum for our experts, do go online and pop your points there. But in the meantime, have a good week, everyone, as good as you can, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.